Are you struggling to come up with original content week in and week out? Start a podcast. Interview your ideal clients, let them talk about what they care about most, and never run out of content ideas again. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show. Welcome back to B2B Growth. I'm Logan Lyles with Sweetfish Media. Today, I'm joined by Rick Middlemass. He is the Chief Strategy Officer over at the National Association of Sales Professionals. Rick, how's it going today, man?
Going great, man. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about a topic that I don't think gets talked about enough in B2B sales, and that is that, B2B buyers are still emotional buyers, and we oftentimes make decisions based on emotion and back it up with logic. But what does that mean for us as sales professionals? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm really excited for the conversation. Before we get into it, though, for a little bit of context, Rick, give us a little bit of your background and what you and the team at NASP are up to these days, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So got into sales myself, about 14 years ago now. It's been a pretty incredible journey in, self-discovery, self-growth, pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. Very happy that thinking back, my good friend's older brother started a painting company, and he's like, I need people to go door to door. And I was like, well, I'll try it. And that kind of, cut my teeth selling Cisco systems hardware. And joined the National Association of Sales Professionals, initially just getting certified and going through some of the training. The owner of the association is actually my mentor from back in the day when I started selling. So that was a great relationship. So the National Association of Sales Professionals is a primarily online association that is designed, and our mission is to serve sales professionals around the world. So we have a lot of resources at NASP.com, like our blog, our podcast, our video podcasts, all the different things are on the site. And then we encourage people to join our free membership, where we have our complimentary seller style assessment, as well as actually what is currently complimentary, a daily sales success program, which is daily prompts that you receive through your email, and then jump into our LMS and complete a 1 to 3 minute assignment designed to build positive habits in your daily sales activity.
Awesome, man. I love that. I love hearing your backstory of getting into sales and cutting your teeth, door-to-door sales. For me, it was cutting my teeth cold calling in the copier industry, door-to-door, in several different regions, knowing that you've sold tech with Cisco. I know that you know what I'm talking about there, man. So let's come back to today's topic, meeting buyers where they are and meeting their emotional needs as you communicate with them. I mentioned at the top of the episode that oftentimes buyers make emotional decisions and then back them up with logic. I think that's probably a phrase a lot of folks listening to this have heard in some context or another, but I would love for you to kind of pause on that and unpack that phrase for us a little bit. What does it mean when you hear that phrase?
Yeah. And a lot of the pushback on that is like, listen, I'm selling servers, switches, routers, and firewalls. What's emotional about that? Like, where does the emotional decision come in? So for a lot of people, I think it gets dismissed pretty quickly in terms of if I'm selling something you consider like a widget or a commodity or something like that, it's not emotional. So here's where I push back a little bit and I say, okay, well, that makes sense. So if 3 Cisco integrators go and meet with a company that's looking at doing, a bit of a server switch refresh and some other projects and that type of thing. If all three of the companies present a similar solution at a similar price point, all sound equally compelling from a features and benefits perspective, who gets the business? And the answer, and I've heard buyers actually say this out loud, is whoever feels like the better option, right? If the price is the same, if the products are the same, and the companies appear to have, similar success testimonials, we decide that, okay, well, all three sound great. We feel like this one is going to be actually the best fit for us because, we felt like we had a great meeting with them and they have what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it goes back to the saying that we all know in sales that people buy from those they know, like, and trust. Trust is not always something that is just quantitative. They can fill out a matrix on this is why I trust this vendor. This is why I trust this salesperson the most. And it comes down to exactly what you've heard out of the mouths of buyers. And that is who feels like the safest choice, who feels like the best choice. So the other pushback is, well, not just based on the product, but this is a B2B buying decision, right? And so aren't RFPs and procurement departments and all these checks and balances of how people buy and procure either equipment, technology, or services for their business designed to take the emotion out of it? But one, there are still humans that make up that committee. And two, you could argue that, hey, if you are the champion of that buying decision for your organization, that actually has more emotional impact than buying that thing on Amazon. If I buy the wrong deodorant on Amazon, I just return it. If I make a bad call on this decision that I say, hey, we should buy this software for our company, that could be a career altering decision. So how is there not emotion in that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great points.
Awesome, man. So let's talk about, with all of these things in mind, what B2B sellers can do with this reality in mind as they go into qualification calls, as they go into demos and presenting proposals. What are some of the things that they should be thinking about with this truth in mind as they approach their buyers?
So, great question, and definitely a pretty packed answer to that question, right? So I'm going to start in the more, some people might say general, or I've heard that I know that, and then go into some more very, more tactical, strategic type things. So first of all, in the very general sense, now you mentioned know, like, and trust. So there's that trust/respect element, right? So it's kind of tied into that. So in the most general sense, as a buyer, the kind of the fundamental emotional need that I'm looking for, and there's a few books written about the emotional needs, I'm sure most people have heard of those, is certainty, right? The most fundamental emotional need that we are seeking to meet as sales professionals is certainty. So how do I do that? So first of all, the vague answer is with confidence, congruency, my own personal certainty. So taking a little more seriously your own belief in yourself, your company, your colleagues, and your product. Have you asked yourself, what level of belief do I have in my company's ability to deliver the solution that I'm selling on a scale from 1 to 10? Is it a 10? Probably rarely is it a 10. Generally, it's probably going to be more of a 7, 8, or 9. So the fascinating thing about this, and what plays into that person or that group feels like the best fit, is that we have these 300 different muscles in our face, right? All betraying our true beliefs and thoughts and our own true level of confidence and certainty, as well as all the elements of body language. So if I can do just even a quick 30-second check-in with myself before I'm physically going into the boardroom, to go into, maybe it's one buyer, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 5, maybe there's meetings where you've got 10 people at the table that you're presenting to, you are far more likely to display through body language, facial microexpressions, tonality, any hint of uncertainty that you have in what you're providing. And our job as sales professionals is to provide complete certainty and assurance that we're going to deliver a top quality solution.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. So what I hear you saying is that certainty is that emotional need that we need to deliver. And the way that we do that is by presenting that ourselves. And one of the, tactical pieces of advice I'd offer to folks is, if you use a tool like chorus.ai to record your sales calls, go through and watch some of your sales calls and specifically looking for not what you're saying, not how you answer that objection, but just looking at your own facial expression, body language, and those sorts of things, and kind of grade yourself on what sort of certainty am I portraying here. I think that could be a way to really apply that. So, Rick, tell us about some of the other emotional needs that sellers, need to keep in mind for their buyers as they're going into different meetings, different sorts of sales meetings.
Yeah, well, and let's stay on this one for a little while. So number one, it's taking a little bit more seriously my level of confidence and congruency, right? So that was number one. Number two, how else can we build this? How else can we offer this reassurance to our buyer that is extremely important in actually getting the decision? So number two is, what kind of recognition or awards have you or your company or the implementation team received in the recent history or in the longer term history? And is that part of your presentation? Now, the pushback I get on this sometimes is, well, I'm not trying to brag about, how great I am or how great my company is, because I'm not a braggy person, right? I'm humble and I'm here to do a good job. Okay, yes, very valid point. And when we think about meeting this need for our potential client, it's for them. This isn't for you to brag. This is to help them understand the level of competency that you and your company has, and that you're going to deliver a top quality solution. So that is another point right there.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And I can go into some more as well. So testimonials and references. So this is a basic one, right? But look at your sales presentation. How many references and testimonials do you have baked into it as a default? A lot of times people will say, testimonials upon request. If you ask me, I'll give them. Okay, great and good. And you're going to do a better job of meeting this emotional need by just providing them. Build it into your base default presentation. So we've got recognition, awards, references. And one other quick one to throw in there is just in meeting management, right? I've sat through hundreds or probably thousands at this point of sales meetings, and you have a whole range of different levels of professionalism, right? Some are more casual and relaxed. I think Austin, I just moved to Austin recently. This is quite a casual and relaxed environment. Also quite hot to wear a suit down here.
Yeah.
In Michigan, a lot of times we have a little bit more formal, suit and tie. When I walk into a meeting, I'm handing out a meeting agenda. I'm sliding across my business cards, and there's that much more formality. So I'm not saying either one is better. What I'm saying is one element of this that helps reinforce the certainty, the confidence that I'm delivering is being specific with my time. So when I'm opening up the meeting, I'm providing at least an idea of we're going to start out with some questions. We've got about 20 minutes of presentation that we want to get through, the kind of the meat and potatoes here of the product that we're talking about. And then we'll have X amount of time for kind of back and forth questions. And we're really going to be focused on wrapping up by this time. Sound good, everyone? Great. Then you're just doing that simple thing is increasing kind of your leadership in the environment, right? You're demonstrating a little bit more confidence and congruency in your ability to run the meeting. And also, people aren't at the end of the meeting wondering like, oh, is this going to go over 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and getting distracted from the meeting. So those are 4 examples there of meeting this emotional need, which it sounds like, it's not really that important. I need to make sure the presentation is solid. Yes, the presentation has to be as good as or better than everyone else's, 100%. And on top of that, when the presentation is there, this is equally important in actually getting the sale.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've recommended to buyers in the past that, okay, if you want to get a sense of what sort of trust you can place in a salesperson and an organization, look at these little moments of trust. Do they break your trust by showing up late to that sales meeting? Do they break your trust by running over and taking too much time versus what they told you they would? And what you're saying is take control of that. Don't wait for those moments where you could accidentally break trust and then therefore deliver some uncertainty in the emotions of your buyers, but take charge of that and deliver certainty. Also, I mean, just good practice there of letting people know, hey, we're going to have this much time for discussion so that they're not interrupting the flow of the presentation or whatever the format is. Like you said, I've sold door to door. I've sold, sitting in conference rooms. I've sold sitting on couches next to people. I've sold over Zoom meetings. They all have, a different sort of feel and way about them. But if you think about how can I deliver certainty and establish trust throughout this process, whatever that looks like, more formal to less formal, you're setting yourself up for success. Hey everybody, Logan with Sweetfish here. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you know we're big proponents of putting out original, organic content on LinkedIn. But one thing that's always been a struggle for a team like ours is to easily track the reach of that LinkedIn content. That's why I was really excited when I heard about Shield the other day from a connection on, you guessed it, LinkedIn. Since our team started using Shield, I've loved how it's let us easily track and analyze the performance of our LinkedIn content without having to manually log it ourselves. It automatically creates reports and generates some dashboards that are incredibly useful to see things like what content's been performing the best and what days of the week are we getting the most engagement and our average views per post. I'd highly suggest you guys check out this tool if you're putting out content on LinkedIn. And if you're not, you should be. It's been a game changer for us. If you go to shieldapp.ai and check out the 10-day free trial, you can even use our promo code B2B Growth to get a 25% discount. Again, that's shieldapp.ai, and that promo code is B2B Growth, all one word. All right, let's get back to the show. Rick, what other advice do you want to share with folks today when it comes to meeting different emotional needs of their buyers and how to think about this idea that people are going to make emotional decisions that'll be justified by logic, but emotion's going to come first?
Yeah. Another big one is recognizing where your prospect, potential client, or maybe existing client, you're going for another sale, where they already are, what great work they have already put into their network. If it is selling hardware or software, what can you recognize within their organization, within their current setup, within what they've done in the past that they've done very well? And for everything that you can see, they maybe couldn't even have done it better. You've done exactly what you needed to do to serve your company, to serve X component of your business up until here. And take a second to recognize and appreciate what they have done already. The difference between doing this and reinforcing this emotional need within your buyer and not doing this could be the difference between we both gave the best sales presentation we could have, but that group felt better. We feel better moving forward with that company.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love what you're talking about here in thinking through the certainty that we deliver to our buyers. We've talked about in the way that you convey your message, think about your body language, think about those facial expressions, think about how you deliver references and make it that an easy, seamless process for your prospects, how you manage a meeting and those things like that. Rick, this has been a great conversation, man. If people want to follow up with you, engage more with some of the content from National Association of Sales Professionals, what's the best way for them to reach out to you or stay connected with you guys, man?
Yeah, absolutely. Highly recommend just going to NASP.com. So that's National Association of Sales Professionals, NASP.com. And it will be very obvious how to join. We have a complimentary membership. So joining that membership will put you on our mailing list and keep you up to date of all of the various master classes and all the value that we're offering. You'll also get access to the Seller Style Assessment, which is an assessment specifically designed to find your gap. So we do an analysis of your current selling style and your ideal selling style and give you some feedback and coaching on where your next area of sales growth is. That will also give you access to our daily sales success program a complimentary daily habit enforcing program, as well as you will find out about everything else that we do within the association by joining.
Awesome, man. Well, this has been a fun conversation. Thanks so much for joining me on the show today, man.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
We totally get it. We publish a ton of content on this podcast, and it can be a lot to keep up with. That's why we've started the B2B Growth Big Three, a no-fluff email that boils down our 3 biggest takeaways from an entire week of episodes. Sign up today at sweetfishmedia.com/big3. That's sweetfishmedia.com/big3.